I'll be presenting the fundamental principles of a republic by Anna Howard Shaw, who was a suffrage orator and suffrage social reformer. This speech was made during the New York State Equal Suffrage Campaign at the City Opera House in Ogdensburg, New York on June 21st, 1915. When I came into your hall tonight, I thought of the last time I was in your city. 21 years ago, I came here with Susan B. Anthony, and we came for exactly the same purpose as that for which I am here tonight. Boys have been born since that time and have become voters, and women are still trying to persuade American men to believe in the fundamental principles of democracy. The difficulty with discussing this question with those who oppose us is that people make so many problems, but none of them have anything to do with women's suffrage. If women's suffrage is wrong, it is a great wrong. If it is right, it is a profound and fundamental principle upon which a republic must rise. Never, in the history of the world, did it dawn upon the human mind, as it dawned upon your ancestors, what it would mean for men to be free. They did not equivocate in a single word when they wrote the Declaration of Independence. But as soon as the war was over and our government was formed, instead of asking the question, who shall be the great governing forces in this great new republic, they decided to eliminate, instead of include, the men who should be of the great governing forces. These excellent ancestors of yours had not been in the old world long enough to realize that man is of more value than his purse. So they said, any man who is in a state worth $250 in the government shall have a voice. God said in the beginning, it is not good for man to stand alone. That is why we are here tonight, and that is all that women's suffrage means. Now, what is a republic? Take your dictionaries, and never will you read a definition of a republic in which one half of the people elect representatives to govern the whole of the people. That is an aristocracy, and that is just what we are. When I was a girl, we had what was known as the old tissue ballot, and whichever man got the most tissue in was the man elected. Now, the best of our community was very much disturbed by this method. They heard that over in Australia, where the woman voted, there was a ballot which is both safe and secret, so we got the Australian ballot. But when we got it over, we found it was not adapted to our country, because in Australia, you have to be able to read your ballot in order to vote. Now, the question was, how could we adapt it to our conditions? Someone discovered that if you should put a symbol at the head of each column, like a rooster or an eagle, that if man has intelligence to know the difference between a rooster and an eagle, he will know which political party to vote for. Now, almost any American could vote that ballot. If we should take a vote and the men had to read their ballot in order to vote, more women could vote than men. But when the government says not only that you must be of 21 years of age, a resident of the community, and native born or naturalized, those are qualifications. But when it says that an elector must be male, those are not qualifications for citizenship. It is an insurmountable barrier between one half of the people and the other half. No such nation can call itself a republic. It is only an aristocracy. Where's the difficulty? Just in one thing, and one thing only. Men are so sentimental. A gentleman told me that he and his wife had lived together for 20 years and never had a difference of opinion in the whole 20 years. And he was afraid if women began to vote, his wife would vote differently from him. And then that beautiful harmony which they had had for 20 years would be broken. The husband and wife who were quarreling after the vote are quarreling now. A dear good friend of mine in Omaha said, "Now, Miss Shaw," and she held up her child in her arms, "is not this my job?" I said, "It certainly is." And she said, "How could I go down to the polls and vote and neglect my baby?" I said, "Has your husband a job?" And she said, "Why, you know he has." advantage you have over your husband. He has to leave his job, and you can take your job with you. If women vote, will we go to war? If Germany sent an army of women over here, we will go down to them and say, come on, let's go up to the opera house and talk this matter over. It might get wearisome, but it would not be death. Would it not be better if the heads of the government in Europe had talked things over? What might have happened to the world if a dozen men had gotten together in Europe and settled the awful controversy which is today discriminating the nations of Europe? It is remarkable that even at this age, men cannot discuss international problems and discuss them in peace. We women do not want the ballot in order that we may fight, but we do want the ballot in order that we may keep men from fighting. Just as the home is not without the man, so the state is not without the woman. Men and women must go through this world together, from cradle to grave. It is God's way and the fundamental principles of a republic.